He had eyes all over his body, not 10, not 20, 100, distributed across his head, his back, his arms, his torso. When he slept, only some of them closed. The rest remained open, watching. Never in the history of Greek mythology had a creature been designed with such precision for a single function: to see. His name was Argus Panoptes. Panoptes means the one who sees everything, and it was not a poetic title, it was a technical description. On who Argus's parents were, the ancient sources do not agree. Acusilaus, a historian of the 6th century BC, and Aeschylus in the Suppliants say he was a son of Gaia, the earth, born directly from the ground without a father. An autochthon. Pherecydes of Athens, a mythographer of the 5th century BC, makes him a son of Aristor. Pausanias adds that Argus's mother may have been Mycene, the woman who gave her name to the Mycenaean civilization and to the city of Mycenae. Asclepiades makes him a son of Inachus, the first king of Argos, and a child of Oceanus. Cercops turns him into a son of an earlier Argus and Ismene, daughter of the river Aesopus, which would make him a grandfather of Io in some versions of the myth. Apollodorus in his library summarizes all these versions without committing to any. The only constant across all genealogies is that Argus belonged to the region of the Peloponnese and was connected to the city of Argos in the Argolid. On the exact number of eyes, the sources also vary, but in a consistent direction. Each author gave him more. Pherecydes gives him 3, with the third placed at the back of his head by Hera. The lost poem Aegimeus, attributed to Hesiod, gives him 4, 2 in front and 2 behind. Later, authors do not specify an exact number and simply say he had eyes all over his body. Ovid, in the Metamorphoses, is the one who fixes the number at 100. That is the figure that remained in the tradition. Attic red figure pottery of the 6th century BC depicts him covered in eyes, typically distributed across his entire skin. The mechanism was simple and effective. When some eyes slept, the others remained awake. There was no moment when all of them closed at once. Argus could not be surprised. He was absolute vigilance made flesh. But Argus was not only eyes. He was a giant of superhuman strength who already had a considerable record before his most famous assignment. He killed a fierce bull that was devastating Arcadia and afterward used its hide as a cloak. He killed a satyr who had been stealing cattle and attacking travelers in the region. He killed Echidna. The mother of all monsters, the half-woman, half-immortal serpent who lived in a cave beneath the earth, was killed by Argus while she slept. Apollodorus records this episode. The being who had engendered Cerberus, the Hydra, the Chimera, and the Sphinx was eliminated by a giant in the service of Hera, who patiently waited for her to close her eyes. Argus also avenged the murder of King Apis by killing his assassins, Telxion and Telchis. All of this before Hera assigned him the task that would define his existence and his death. The central story of Argus is inseparable from the story of Io. Io was a priestess of Hera in Argos, or according to other versions, a nymph and daughter of the river Inachus. Zeus became involved with her. When Hera appeared to discover them, Zeus transformed Io into a white heifer and tried to deny what had happened. Hera was not deceived. She asked for the heifer as a gift, and Zeus could not refuse without giving himself away. Hera took the heifer and needed a guardian impossible to outwit. Someone who did not sleep. Someone who saw in all directions at once. She chose Argus Panoptes. Argus tied Io to a sacred olive tree in the sanctuary of Hera between Argos and Mycenae. He watched her day and night. Every movement of the white heifer was registered by dozens of open eyes at any given moment. There was no blind angle. There was no moment of inattention. Io was trapped under the most perfect surveillance the gods had ever devised. Zeus could not tolerate the situation. He sent Hermes, his most favored son among the Olympian gods, to rescue Io. Hermes was the messenger god, but also the god of thieves, tricks, and eloquence. If anyone could outwit a being that saw everything, it was him. But even Hermes could not simply steal Io away. According to Apollodorus, an informer named Hierax alerted Argus to the attempt. Hermes had to change strategy. He disguised himself as a shepherd. He sat beside Argus in the shade of the sacred olive tree. And he began to talk. He told stories. He played music on his reed pipes, the syrinx. The day advanced. The music was soft, hypnotic. The stories were long and enveloping. One by one, the eyes of Argus began to close. First those at the back of his head, then those along his sides, then those along his arms. The giant fought against sleep, but the music and words of a god were more powerful than 100 eyes. Eventually, for the first and only time in his existence, every eye of Argus Panoptes closed at once. On what happened next, the sources offer variations. Ovid says Hermes decapitated him with a curved sword, the harp, while he slept. Apollodorus says he killed him with a stone. Aeschylus describes the act without specifying the weapon. The result was the same. Argus Panoptes, the being who never slept, died in his sleep. From this victory, Hermes gained one of his most important epithets in all of Greek literature, Argeiphontes, the slayer of Argus. Homer already uses that title in the Iliad and the Odyssey, which indicates that the myth of Argus's death was ancient, older even than the Homeric poems of the 8th century BC. When Hermes killed Argus, a trial followed. The gods voted on whether Hermes was guilty of murder. They cast their votes with pebbles and acquitted him. According to tradition, that trial is the origin of Hermes's association with the piles of stones that marked the roads of ancient Greece, the Hermes. The murder of a giant in the service of the queen of the gods generated a ritual that lasted centuries. Hera did not forget her servant. She took the 100 eyes of the dead giant and placed them in the feathers of the tail of her sacred bird, the peacock. Every eye feather in a peacock's tail is, according to Greek mythology, one of the eyes of Argus Panoptes. The perfect vigilance that could not save its owner became ornament. The eyes that had watched every movement of a white heifer in a sacred olive grove ended up decorating the plumes of a bird. The death of Argus did not truly free Io. Hermes could not reverse the transformation. Io remained a heifer, and Hera, furious over the death of Argus, sent a gadfly that pursued Io across the entire known world. According to some versions, Io believed the gadfly was the ghost of Argus. The guardian was dead, but his victim still felt watched. Io wandered in madness through Europe and Asia until she reached Egypt, where Zeus finally restored her human form, and she gave birth to Epiphus, the founder of the Egyptian royal line according to the Greek tradition. The perfect guardian died to a flute and some well-told stories, but his eyes are still there in every peacock that spreads its tail, looking in all directions at once, exactly as they were designed to do.